Hello, welcome back to another episode of This Just In. Today, This Just In, you can have different opinions from your friends. Yes, so today I got another long, kind of not ranty episode, just another long, drawn, not so comedic, but a little motivational episode today for everyone. So, this last week I ordered the Supreme Cross box logo as a surprise to no one. I did go for it, and successfully I did purchase it. I was successful in the order. So if you don't know, this cross box logo design is arguably one of Supreme's more controversial designs because of how strange it is. It is just two of their logos shaped like a cross. This logo I am showing in the video, but there's an additional cross down the middle. Yes, it is weird, and yes, it is kind of strange, and it is very controversial. Look anywhere on any of the posts talking about this season, and me even talking about this piece specifically. You got a lot of different opinions. We got people who like it. We got people who genuinely hate it, and it's all over the board, flip flopping. Maybe every other message is a different kind of thing. Regardless, it sold out, and I, fortunately being able to purchase it, I went through the Reddit just to see how if people got theirs shipped, emailed yet, because I haven't got mine yet. And it's kind of weird. They've been taking longer than usual. Usually I get a ship email maybe the next day or two. This season it's been very inconsistent. Sometimes I'll get it the next day, and then sometimes I'll get it a week later. So realistically, I was looking to see what people's opinions are, and I want to see people who aligned with my opinion, which is I kind of like it. I'll explain why I like it later on, but just go in. That's what everyone tries to do. You try to find people who agree with you, who back you up, people who make you feel like you're right, and everyone's guilty of it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just something to recognize. And this made me think of when I was watching one of my favorite content creators, Noel Miller, one half of Tiny Meat Gang, one big inspiration for this podcast and my other stuff. And he was talking about his most recent music project, which dropped, which I thought was pretty interesting. And on the stream, he was doing a little breakdown of what the reception was to it. And he was commenting on the negative responses that he got on his project. I think on the same day he published the music album. He put out the music album on all the music platforms, and then he dropped the video as well. And he was going through some of the YouTube comments he was getting on the video, and he was talking about how there's a lot of negative people, oh, this is bad, or the trash, you don't know what you're doing, you can't rap, etc., stuff like that. And he just responded to that whole chunk of comments saying pretty simply, it's not for you. His art was not for you. If you didn't connect to it or you didn't like it, it doesn't mean it's trash. It just means it wasn't for you. Which kind of tied into another conversation I had with someone else about the film Honey Boy, Shia LaBeouf's semi-autobiographical film about him as a child on the set of Even Stevens, bouncing back to him actually writing the film Honey Boy. So it is kind of self-referential, fourth wall breaking-ish. And we're talking about it, and the film balances between those plot lines. The kid Shia, Even Stevens era Shia, and post-Transformer Shia. And we were talking about how I like the kid Shia part a lot more than the adult Shia. And the other person I was talking to, they liked the adult Shia way more than the kid Shia. And it kind of brought me back to that thing of everyone has their own experiences and things that they're going to connect to and like for a different reason. And it doesn't invalidate your opinion, and it doesn't invalidate their opinion. Their experiences just make them like something else, and it doesn't make it bad or make it worse or make it good or make it bad. That's just how it is for them. And that made me think about all this stuff tying back. Everything is coming together. Then I also had another course. This is all happening within a span of a week. Just all of these things connecting in my brain. It made me think of this course I just finished. My only course I finished so far at the time of this recording. It's called Media Audiences. It's a very interesting course, and it focused about obviously media audiences and particularly media analytics, and how one of the main things in that, the key points of the course was knowing your audience and having an audience to begin with. Don't make anything just for everyone, because you're not going to get anywhere with making something for everyone. You have to make something for a certain amount of people or a certain kind of person. And And it was just bringing everything together about how what Noel said with things not for you and me talking to another person connecting about different things. Everything is slightly subjective, right? There are things that people will connect with depending on their experiences, as I said before. But there's also a set of standards that everyone can, I think there's a universal set of standards, right? That this bar that everyone kind of agrees on, like if it meets this bar, then it's good. Doesn't mean it's great, doesn't mean it's extremely impactful, doesn't mean it's horrible. If it meets that bar, then it's just good. Like the easiest thing I can think of this good idea, this standard, is when you're talking about films. There's a lot of films, and maybe not this year, but before. Maybe for me, I watch about I can't believe I'm saying this. I watch a lot of films usually, and of the, let's say, 80 films I watch in a year, including like digital, streaming, and in theaters previously, I would say maybe five are the films that I watch really stand out. And then that other 75 films, they're good. They meet the technical standards of a film, so they're shot well, they have good enough performances, the story is good, and there's nothing, everything about it is just good. There's nothing super standout. It may have standout moments, but overall, it's nothing super standout. Nothing I will walk away from the theater thinking about every day, or like anytime I see something, or something that has a profound, deep impact, like something that changed the way I think about something, or changed the way I feel about something, or make me think about something new that I haven't thought of in a new way, or something, or a film that hasn't done, that did something that no one else or no other film has done, or has done something that other films have done, but done it in a completely new way that hasn't been done before, that changes everything. Now, everyone has that general set of universally held films, and there are people who don't share that sentiment for whatever reason. Now, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them, or that they see the film as like horrible. Maybe they just never connected with it, and that goes for everything with art. Just because someone doesn't connect with it, it doesn't mean it's bad. I'm sure there's some standards that they'll see that, oh yeah, okay, it meets this, but I just didn't connect with it. And I think that's a important thing to realize. Sometimes to step back with, I know I've had this before where I've gotten into arguments with people about films that I'm like, oh, this is amazing, this is the greatest film ever, how do you not like this? This is like, you're like making me upset that you don't like this. But at the end of the day, if they don't connect with it, nothing I can do, no argument I can make, no amount of yelling or convincing I can do will make them connect with it. If they don't connect with it right off the jump, I can maybe help them, or I can show why I connect with it and why other people may connect with it. But if they can't connect to that part of, then there's nothing to connect with. Then there's nothing wrong with that. And I think realizing now that sometimes you don't need, or most of the time you don't need to argue with something about everything. There's things, again, some things are not for you, and that's okay. Now, you can there are things to argue, like you could argue about the standards of a good movie or whatever. What makes something good, you can argue about the bar itself. What makes something to that bar, or how do you get to that bar? I think that's something you can argue about all day, because those are kind of objective aspects of art. There are some things like, oh, in a film, unless it's intended to, right? Things are, you shouldn't see like the crew or whatever, and things should be in focus. For example, the story should traditionally, if it's supposed to have a beginning, middle, end, the film has a beginning, middle, end. The characters feel like real people, or if they're not supposed to be real people, that's the point. And I think you can argue about that stuff, but then there's the next stuff, the extra stuff, the stuff that goes deep, or the stuff that doesn't go deep with some people. Again, it depends on who's watching or who's consuming it, and everyone will have a different reaction to that. And it's okay to have a different reaction than everyone else, and it's okay not to agree on those things. Everyone's going to have their own opinions, and I think this is a big part of it too. Recently, now that I haven't been able to watch as many films as usual, or haven't had the same experience as watching films as usual, I haven't gone to watch as many movie reviews as I did. Before last year, whenever I'd watch a movie, maybe not immediately, but maybe a little after, a short while after I watched the film, I'd go watch a review, or I'd read a review. And at first I would see it as an opportunity to see to prove my own opinion or feelings about a film. I would go watch a video or I would watch a review and pick out things that I agree with. And then if they had something I didn't agree with, or if they had something that I didn't agree with, then I'd be like, okay, just don't worry about that. I'm just looking for the things I agree with and the things I connect with and the things I align with what they're reviewing or in their review. And I think that's going about a review wrong. And I think the point of a review, and I started thinking about this now, more recently, having that distance from reviews, is that just think of it as an opportunity for a conversation. Although you're not obviously conversing, but they're an opportunity to see the film as someone else saw it, not necessarily as a way to prove your point or to affirm your perspective. It's just a way to see what someone else is thinking. And I although most reviews are kind of done for that objective way to see like, oh, is this good or is this bad? I think it's more valuable just to see it as a perspective and what someone thought of something. Again, the review will have probably an aspect of the technical aspects. The standard doesn't meet what is considered a good film. Sure, it'll have that, and sure you can find that to support your opinion. But then there is a certain point where that doesn't have any more weight, where it's all about what you connect with and what your experience reflects onto that, that film, for example. And that's that extra bit. That's that 8, 9, 10 if you're on a grading scale. I feel like 6 and 7 are like good films. Like if you can get a 6, or if generally people give it a 6, generally give it a 7, that's just meeting all the technical aspects and the bare minimum of like what a good film is, right? And then that's that 8 and the 9 and the 10. That's when they go above and beyond, when they do something, as I said, that hasn't been done before, or when they do something that connects with you so deeply that you can never forget it, or that changes the way you look at things. So then this brings it to like when you're conversing with your friends about another film. It shouldn't be an opportunity. I think like having a discussion after you watch a film with your friends, it should be an opportunity not to be like, you're wrong or you're right. I think it's an opportunity just to see what everyone else has to say or what everyone else thought. And I think it's more important and more valuable to see what people gain or what people don't gain from something, and not, oh, was it good, was it bad? And just talking about that kind of surface level thing. And although it is important, it is just like the bare minimum, I think. And you could go so much deeper with it. This is another thing I've noticed too when people are talking about stuff, like just anything in general. A lot of people will preface what they're about to say with, in my opinion, or I think that. And I've definitely done this so many times just in this episode. This prefacing of, here, wait, it's like a warning of sorts. I don't know if that's the best way to set up what you're about to say, is that, oh, just let everyone know this is my opinion. When people say, in my opinion, it doesn't really warn me. It's like, oh, it's like a warning saying like, I don't trust myself, or it might not be that subconsciously, but from me reading it, when someone says, oh, in my opinion, it just seems like you're not sure of what you're about to say. And I think you should try it. Just go a whole week. Whenever someone asks for something, don't preface anything with, in my opinion. Just go straight into it. This is it. Here it is. No, don't say I guess or I'm not sure. Just throw it out there. Just go in straight. Get that confident answer. Just put it out there and then see how it goes from there. I think that helps with it too. Just subconsciously prefacing everything. And I've been trying to be more considerate of how I talk too, because I've noticed in editing these episodes, I say like, or so, to preface something. It also gives me more time to think about something, but it is also kind of a preface thing, like, oh, here you go. And I think this is a good thing for writing too. Just get right into it. In writing, a lot of people like putting extra words in just to make things sound more than they are. And I don't know, I think that does a disservice too. I think there are certain things that you don't need to preface your opinion on. Those are things you can Google. How do I get to somewhere? What color is this? How much is something? or where is something. Those are just like set things where your opinion won't change it one way or the other. But then there are things where you ask your friends about things where you want to get their thoughts and you want to get their ideas and what they think about it. And I guess in most cases, people don't frame questions as, oh, I want to get your opinion, unless you obviously state that. But most people would just, whenever they ask a question, it just seems like, oh, I'm looking for an answer. I'm looking for the answer, the only answer. And for some questions, yeah, that makes sense. There are some things that there is the answer. But I think it's also an opportunity to think of things more openly and think of things not only as one answer type things. This definitely connects more with artistically related things. So again, films. What do you think of it? Oh, it was good. Oh, it was bad. Well, we can go deeper than, oh, it was good or bad. Like, there is so much to talk about and there's so much to chew on besides the, oh, it's good or it's bad. That's what Google's for, to figure out just the base things and just the straightforward things. And connecting back with that course I was talking about in the beginning. In that course, we had to do a few small papers, and a lot of the papers were grounded in you need to back your stuff up. And this isn't new to anyone who hasn't written a paper before, but yeah, everything has to be backed up. And I think that's the opportunity. And I think that can be taken outside of just academia, where you have to back things up. When you're in a conversation and someone asks for your thoughts and stuff, instead of just saying it was good or it's bad, you can just say, you can go deep with it, a little bit more deeper. And I think that could lead to more meaningful conversations, and it could lead to more meaningful connections. When you just go beyond it was okay, it was good, it was all right. When you talk about a film, for example, you could go deeper. Oh, say another film I recently watched was Mank. Mank is technically something else, but at its core, it kind of falls apart if you don't know film history. But I enjoyed some of it. And that's as much effort as it took to say, oh, it was good or it's bad. But I think it gives a little more insight of what to expect when you're watching a film. And it also gives an extra point of conversation where you can go deeper. And I think there's more to chew on. When you say something's good, it's just like, it just halts the conversation. It's like I'm done with you. And sure, you may want to say that and you don't want to dig deeper into things. But I think the great thing about art is you can go deeper with things. You have the opportunity to dig deep and figure out stuff. And when you just relegate something to good or bad, it loses everything. And this backing up of things can easily be brought into anything else. For example, tying everything back to the beginning with the box logo cross hoodie. Now, most of the people were responding with one bar: trash, fire, this, good, bad. And you can see that almost everywhere. Any kind of social media, hyper processed everything, just gets summarized into one comment size insight, or not even insight, observation, I'd say. Just surface level stuff. And I think if you can back it up, like with for example, the box logo hoodie, I'll say I like it because it is a funny graphic, because it plays on various different things. And this reading may be too deep because it is just a sweater with two rectangles shaped in a cross. But for me, it's like kind of funny seeing the design process or lack of design process that went behind this piece. Just having a bunch of guys just like, oh, we are doing a box logo again this year. What should we do? And they're like, oh, why don't we add another one? And someone's like, yeah, we should add another one. And it went all the way to production. And if you don't know fashion, and even in like Supreme, there is still a lot of steps that go into something before it is made and available to purchase or even put out online as press. Like with a lookbook, there is so much that goes to that point that everyone just like, yeah, just run with it. And I think that is so funny about it. And I was looking through the Reddit, and someone actually gave a nice, interesting thing about it, where they were saying how it's kind of like a cult symbol because it's a cross, and it would be like a cross uniform, and like how religious people are with Supreme and how culty it kind of can get with coming to the drop on every Thursday and like spending all this money and spending all this time digging into this culture and this community. It does have its cult/religious aspects to it. Outside the graphic, I think Supreme hoodies, although they are quite expensive, they are good enough quality for that. And they also have a little resale value afterwards after you can wear it for however long. And then there's still a little life left monetarily wise. It doesn't have to go that deep either when you say your opinion. You can start with, oh, it's good, and then just back it up with, it's good because this, this, and this, and this. And I just want to encourage everyone just to go a little deeper than, or it's good, it's bad. These one word things. Just go in, dig deep. Or you not dig deep, just dig deeper than good, bad. Go past the one word. Get at least into a sentence. Because you can go so far with a sentence. That can be such a great point of conversation or insight. And it can be such a great opportunity for you to connect with other people besides good or bad. Start with the standards. So I guess the standard is good or bad, and then go deeper. Because at the end of the day, not everything is for you. And because something isn't for you, doesn't mean it's bad. And doesn't mean you need to put someone down for liking it. And remember, at the end of the day, everything's not for you. And that's okay. There's other things that are for you. All right, guys, thank you for making it to the end of this episode of This Just In. I will see you next week again, where I figure out a topic last minute and just ramble 20 minutes about it. Maybe it'll be more structured. I always say that, and it never ends up being that, but that's okay. We're progressing. All right, guys, share this episode with a friend and follow and like and subscribe on all the platforms. I will see you next time. Bye.